I've actually been hosting this session for quite some time now, but this time it's actually a bit different because we are facing difficulties with a lot of uncertainties, and people that I've been working with, the people I've interacted with, they have they have been asking questions which we obviously never heard before. So as you know that I work at Ernst and Young, and in our firm, one thing that we focus on is asking the better question. So as you can see in my first slide, um, the question that we are asking today is: when the ground beneath your feet is shifting, will you stand still or leap forward? And I think this question resonates a lot to the current situation where um, even last year, I myself had so many plans. I was like, okay, this year we're gonna do a lot of savings. We're gonna probably explore different client opportunities. Or I was talking to a lot of graduates. They're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna apply for this firm and that firm. I'm gonna apply. I'm gonna try out a new degree. So there were so many different plans that we had for the year. But then in a matter of a few months, all of it has changed. Now, there are so many uncertainties, right? And it goes to show that yes, the feet, the ground beneath our feet is shifting. There's a changing market. There's a changing landscape. And the question is, do you stand still? Do you still try to climb the same ladder, to climb up the same wall, or do you try to reassess that whether you should use your ladder first to climb up a different wall? Do you hone on to other opportunities, or do you redirect it? And what I'll aim to do in today's session is, first of all, try to help you understand what are the changes that COVID-19 might have brought about in the market at this point in time. From my perspective and from what I've experienced, I'll share my experience, and I'll also talk through about how what are the importance, what are the key ingredients to a successful career or successful life at this point in time, and how do you fight and battle this difficult time. And finally, we will deep dive into some key technical skills. I really want you guys to get out of this session with some tangible achievements. We will work through on resume revamping, career, and then we will also look into virtual interviews. And finally, I'll also teach you how to revamp your LinkedIn and prepare a cheat sheet that you can use for interview purposes. With further ado, I'd first elaborate a bit more on my personal experience. As you know, that I work in the digital trust division at EY, and formerly I was basically an accounting student. I studied accounting, I did my CA, I was a financial auditor, but then I always had this passion for innovation. I had the passion for emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, and how this can change the landscape. So currently I'm working in a division where I work with emerging technologies, the assurance of emerging technologies, and also how can we build products for clientele? How can we look into changing the landscape of how we do things? So it's a very, very diverse field. And I think one thing that I have learned through my experience is adaptability to different situations is key and is integral to sustainability in our society or in your career, in whichever way form you want to be. And I do that on a daily basis. I learn a new skill, and this is something that I will also talk through in today's session. Apart from that, I have been very closely involved with the recruitment process as well at EY. I have been taking interviews. I've been helping out with how we can look into tapping into the STEM students and STEM practice as well. How can we attract more engineering, science, technology students as well? And apart from that, for several years now, I've been doing career coaching that is helping people with interview skills, how to tap into the market, how to better position yourselves in the market. So from where I stand is I do have the corporate experience and understanding of how the corporate world works. I will not deny I do have some caveat in terms of understanding with some niche areas, like if you ask me about marine biology, I'd probably not be able to give you a very, very in-depth advice, but I can definitely give you general advice on how to tap into the market. But yeah, I will definitely share that. And because I've also worked with a lot of recruiters, I can give you advices on what are the key things that you need to remember when you're applying for jobs or when you're going for interview. So if you have any question, please push it to the chat box. I am unfortunately unable to see the comments, but Winnie, please, if at any point you think that a question is directed to a topic I'm talking about, please feel free to share with me. Moving forward, we will first talk about COVID-19. Now, very unfortunate. I had big plans, to be honest, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you had big plans. I was adamant it's going to be 2020. I'm going to make it my year. I'm going to make it big. I'm going to learn different instruments. I'm going to go with my weight loss journey, and I'm going to go traveling, and so many other things that I had plans. I had been career coaching a lot of undergraduates as well, and they were very optimistic, like, yeah, we're going to apply for all these graduate roles. And there were some of my mentees, they were also in senior corporate roles. They were looking into making the move this year. And then suddenly everything went down. Obviously, COVID-19 has had a pervasive impact in the not only just in the commercial world, but every areas of the market. We have seen that all the big four accounting firms or all the big consulting firms, they have seen a reduction in their jobs, in their engagements with their clientele. As a result, there has been a huge cut down of their employees or their time, which is unfortunate. And from a company's perspective, I understand that they also need to think from their sustainability or their survival perspective. But on the other hand, I also empathize over the fact that there's so many people who have been impacted. My own close friend, I have a lot of close friends who actually lost their jobs, and they had big plans. So it is very unfortunate time, and I empathize over any of you who have also lost your job or you have been impacted. If you have lost a close one, I empathize over this situation. But one thing's for sure is that the way moving forward is working hard and getting out there, because things are gonna turn around. It's all about how do we bounce back from this situation? How do we come out strong? How do we hone on to this time, take a step back and work towards making ourselves better and preparing ourselves for a beautiful future. Now, in terms of impacts, we have seen that obviously there has been a cut on the employment in the whole, especially in the, I would say, tourism industry or hospitality industry. And then there are industries such as, there are different sectors, which you probably, like my girlfriend keeps on complaining that she can't go to the parlor or do her nails. So obviously those industries have been impacted as well. And I do acknowledge that it will take time for the market to pick up. To be honest, it's looking good so far in Australia at this point in time. We might be able to pick up. But overall, I would say the impact can be, it's more like a U-shaped recovery in my opinion. It's going to be a U-shaped recovery, which means that it has gone down. It's going to stay like this for a while, and then we're going to come up, which might be ideal. But the one thing that we do not want is the L shape, right? Which is like we constantly stay in a staggered position and we are not being able to improve. So there will be improvement. When I was talking to our recruitment, they were saying that we're actually expecting an improvement by July, August to September, where we're expecting to go back with our recruitment numbers as well, which is great. And I think that is quite general, like it's quite common across the whole industry. That is probably something that they're expecting as soon as they're able to come out of the COVID-19 situation. So there are some specific industry, hospitality industry especially, even management industries, they are getting impacted. Secondly, the way we are working. I have been working I'm actually quite fortunate that I work in a firm and I work in a space that I can actually work remotely. And that is something that's quite common across other industries as well. There are a lot of people who are working virtually right now, which is great. And I think the blessing of this situation is that we get to reassess that there's so many other things that you can do remotely, you can do virtually. um, I do tutoring on the side as well sometimes, and I have been trying to reinvent the wheel, trying to reimagine the possible. Okay, how can I tutor virtually? How can I make it more interactive? Because I am someone who likes to have that one-on-one interaction. So obviously, the ways we're going to work is going to change. The way we're thinking, the way the people have a different, the consumers, they have a different perspective about the market right now, how much they will spend, how much they are willing to invest. The whole perception might change as well. I was talking to one of my friend who works in sales, and he was telling me that it's actually pretty different right now, because one thing is I need to be able to empathize that some sales decisions might not actually be favorable for a client, right? So I need to empathize over that situation, because I don't want the person to take any inappropriate decision, and I don't want to lead that person to an inappropriate decision. At the same time, conversations for people who are working in sales have changed as well. You cannot just go in and push for a sale, and the value add that you're going to talk about, those things are going to change. So the ways you're working, that your customer base, your clientele, their perception about different things are going to change. Supply chain, we have seen a huge change. Obviously, there might be redirection of where we're going to get products as well. I think uh, I think a lot of people who are based in Australia, you probably have faced the whole tissue paper crisis, and that probably helped us to learn a lot about how people react to such a pandemic, right? So I think supply chain as a whole, the whole area, that space will change as well. Graduate employment, yes, I will not deny. Now more than ever, the way graduates need to tap into the market, that whole situation will change. So in some cases, I personally feel that there might be, whenever there's these sort of crisis, the blessings of this sort of crisis, that innovation, a lot of innovation comes out of it. People realize the importance of innovation. And I was talking to one of my directors, and she was telling me that one of the reasons that USA or other European countries were able to fast track their growth was because they went through the global financial crisis. They were hit really, really bad. And people tend to innovate. People tend to go out of their comfort zone and do more in terms of innovation when they are in a crisis. So I guess one thing that you would see is that in this situation where we are in a crisis, we might actually come up with more innovation. You will see industries that are innovating a lot. People are reimagining how our CBDs are going to be like, the future CBDs are going to be like, how the workforce is going to be like. So as a graduate, if you're a graduate, and I will come down into details later on, as a graduate, you need to start thinking about what are the key skills that I need to build on, right? Is it going to be, is it sufficient for me to just learn some technical skills like Excel or some softwares, or do I need to learn skill set like emotional intelligence? When it's very different when you're presenting over Zoom or Skype. And trust me, I've spent hours literally thinking about how to make a video interview so a video, a virtual session, uh, an immersive experience for my clients, right? So think about all those skill set. Try to see how can, maybe you can also think about content creation, right? One of my friends, she works in marketing, and in her firm, the amount of work has reduced. And what she started doing is, she was really good on TikToks, and she realized that she was also marketing, so she had that flamboyant personality, and she wanted to sort of wanted to create content. And she started creating content on her YouTube channel, and now she's looking into how can she also come up with some sort of virtual sessions, training sessions, where she can train other people to make content, marketing content as well. So work is like freelancer. So thinking about more innovative ways. The greatest thing about Golden Key is that there's no fixed discipline of people. There's people from I've known people from pharmaceutical, people from uh, archaeology, so many different types of people who are part of this call right now. So obviously, when I say graduate employment, it is pretty wide. Perhaps my points might be a bit skewed towards the corporate world, but what I can say to the other people in the other space as well, is that it's important for us to start being adaptable. Adaptability is going to be the key game changer at this point in time. How can you adapt to different situations? How can you be innovative? How can you, the problems are going to stay the same. Some of the problems that we're going to be dealing with, the problems are going to stay the same. The problem of resolving a client's business problem, a business case, like expansion problem. They want to grow in their business, or a client who's facing difficulty tapping into the right sales channel, right? The problems are going to stay the same, but it's all about reimagining how can we come up with an innovative solution. We will see definitely capital market, currency, tourism, and entertainment industry. Everything is going to change. Educational sector. I already told you that I do personal tutoring, and the way I'm tutoring as well has changed as well. If you're looking for some sort of investment opportunities, I am not a financial advisor at this point in time. However, one thing I can say is that it might be worthwhile for you to start looking into different areas. Because I think, right, this is the moment where you start thinking that how can yes, I have savings. Yes, if I did lose a job, fine. Even if you get a job back, but how can we sort of make sure that our savings, we can reuse our savings as well? So yes, I do encourage investment opportunities, but obviously it's not a financial advice. But if you're looking for any specific niche area, obviously you can consult with other financial advisors, but it is a good time because I think a lot of the share prices are low as well. You might foresee of how the market's going to change over time as well. One thing that you will definitely see is the emerging markets are going to be very much focused on the technology that's going to be in the market, that's being used in the different industries. So you will see a lot of virtual interaction. You will see the use of artificial intelligence, blockchain, and a lot of cybersecurity tools as well. So it's a great time for you to start enhancing your skill set in terms of what are the technology-driven emerging markets as well. So those were overall my general thoughts on COVID-19. Apologies if it was limited to some areas. I often read up a lot of articles on LinkedIn as well, so worthwhile also reading those articles. But the most important thing is to understand about the impact. The best way is to converse with other people. People who are in this call, if you can definitely get connected with them yourselves later on as well, start asking the question that, hey, how has it changed your business? If you really want to know how it has changed my field as well, feel free to shoot me an email. So now let's talk about some of the issues. Let's talk about you. Are you facing any of these? Lost your job and unsure where life is headed. You're unsure what career is best suited for you amidst the health crisis, and you don't know where to start. You had it all planned, and then it all went down the drain. Or maybe you were already unsure about which field to choose from, and now it's even more difficult because that whole field might have depleted. Are you facing a lot of mental stress right now, and you can't really manage your expectations? So you're probably thinking a lot of things, which is why you probably came to this are attending this seminar. First of all, one thing that I'll say is calm down. It's all about staying calm and being optimistic. It's about believing yourself. So the first thing that I want to say to all of you graduates and professionals who are already in there, first of all, remember, it's always about having the right mindset. It's about having the mindset that things will get better. It's about having the mindset that, yes, we are facing difficult times. Yes, there is a lot of uncertainty, but if we strategize well enough, if we plan ahead, plan ourselves, plan ahead, and equip ourselves with the right skill set, things will get better. We will get into our dream job. Secondly, do your own SWOT analysis. Try to understand what makes you who you are. Try to understand what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are your opportunities, what are your strengths. If you are a football player, try to think, okay, my weakness is that I can't right now. One of the threats that I have is that cannot play, and maybe I will lose out on the opportunity to be a part of any local league games or something like that. Think about what are your strengths. Your strengths is probably that you can play really well. You have a lot of skill set, and an opportunity might be that you can start making videos, and you can maybe start training people, right, once these things get better, right? But that's just an example. Moving on is focus on your intrinsic achievements. And this is something that I always focus on all of my webinars as well, is what's inside, is what gives you the confidence, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel that, yes, I can do things that gives you the confidence within. Focus on your intrinsic achievements. It can be very simple. For example, I try to always do a lot of philanthropic work, as Winnie was saying. And the purpose of doing is that because every time I'm doing something good to the community, doing good for the people, it helps me to nourish my soul. It helps me to believe that I could impact someone's life. I could help someone. And so the universe, the world will be able to help me as well. Being optimistic. So focus on your intrinsic achievements, doing something good. If you were, for example, I was really bad at push-ups, right? But I'm taking the push-up challenge with one of my friends and raising funds for Headspace Australia, right? So doing all these things will help you to mentally become strong, mentally become aware that yes, if I can do these small little things, I can do bigger things. Then also focus on your extrinsic achievements. If you are in a role right now, think about excellence. Think about how can I hit the goal? How can I hit KPIs? Have a very structured life. And what happens is, as a whole, and this is basically my next slide, is it's the small wins in life that gives you the short-term momentum. It's the small wins, small little things, small little charity that you're doing that gives you the momentum, which it builds on your intrinsic confidence. And then the big wins in life, for example, you have a goal in 2 years or 3 years time. If you can reach that, that gives you the long-term momentum. And focus on, but never neglect the small wins that you have in life. It can be as small as you build a good habit of waking up every morning at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. Or it might be a small thing about a weight loss. It might be a small thing about teaching yourself to do some sort of a small little coding, right? Teaching yourself a different skill set. So these small wins, try to register them in your life and acknowledge that these also help you to go for your big wins in life. So small wins give you the short-term momentum, big wins give you the long-term motivation purpose. Staple down your big wins, they can give you the long-term motivation. Number two, keep track of the small wins, they give you the short-term momentum. Focus on extrinsic and intrinsic confidence as they help you to become a stronger person and a responsible and empowered global citizen. Make sure to read make sure to read the news regularly. Try to do a lot of research as well. Try to understand what's happening in the market. If you are in the pharmacy industry, right, and you are a graduate in pharmaceutical, try to understand how is the pharmaceutical industry changing. Obviously, through this pandemic, globally, every country has been able to understand that, right, it's very important that you invest in your healthcare. Probably people, this goes to show that there is a lot of opportunity in your space. There's going to be a lot of innovation. There's going to be a lot of innovation in terms of supply chain or research. So, but you need to make sure that you are doing your research and keeping up to date with what's happening in the market. For all the fresh graduates, the most important thing is to stay connected with the people in the field. If you have graduated and you cannot tap into the market, don't worry. It's not going to be the end of the world. What you have to focus on is to ensure that you connect with the right people. Thank you so much, Winnie, for the time reminder. I really appreciate it. Now, since you have understood what the situation is like, how do you tackle your emotional state? How can we sort of be optimistic? Let's dive down into some of the actual tangible things that we need to focus on when you are looking for jobs. In a job process, while you guys are applying for jobs, you generally have, number one, application process. You might have some sort of psychometric or aptitude test. These days, it's all virtual video interview. So video interviews, it would be one of the key things, or virtual interview or video conferencing, right? And I'm going to be talking about all of that. I'm going to help you guide through that. So application process, I'll go through is you need to set aside minimum 2 hours for each application, right? But you'll see that when you start off applying, I know it's COVID, but it doesn't mean that the market has stopped. There's a lot of other areas. The banking sector is booming actually right now, because a lot of the different service offerings that were outsourced in Manila or Philippines or like in India, they are not active right now. So banking industry is actually generally growing, right? So there are a lot of opportunities in the market. So don't just think that, oh, there are, because of COVID there is no jobs. No, there are actually a lot of jobs as well. But you need to set aside time. The first few applications are going to be very, very time consuming. You'll see that, oh, I have to write all these essays and everything. Don't procrastinate. Just set aside time. Know what you're to do. Just write it up. If you're struggling with me, contact me. Get your resume tailored, which you're going to talk about. Have a cover letter. Have your academic transcript for international student. Get your PT or electronic visas ready, and perform research on how the industries have been impacted in COVID-19. Try to understand, because these are questions that they will ask. Let's talk about resume. Okay, so when I do resume revamping, there are a lot of people who are very, very innovative. I will not deny it. There are different websites where you can actually put money and you can get a very, very fancy resume. But for me, I have been working in recruitment as well, and I've been helping out with our recruitment as well. And one thing that I feel is that there is no harm in having a traditional resume. And this is not my latest resume, but this is a very simple template of my resume, which I like to follow, and it's still clean, concise, and it still gives out the message. Remember, a resume is only supposed to give an insight about who you are. It's supposed to talk. It's just supposed to make the other person curious. It's supposed to make the person who is the recruiter just curious to know a bit more about you. There is something called the 7-second ruling. You probably know that recruiters get hundreds and thousands of resumes every day. So you only have, and they usually spend about 7 seconds for each resume. So you want to capture the attention within the 7 seconds. Let's look into some of the details. Obviously, have your name in big, have your email number, email address. You can actually modify your LinkedIn link as well, but it's ideal if you put your LinkedIn link, because in that way they get to see what you're doing, they get to see your social interaction. But if you do prefer to put your address, that's fine as well. But I always encourage putting your LinkedIn link. You can amend the link on your edit section of your LinkedIn. Have a career objective. A lot of people miss out on career objective, because what the career objective does is it provides an opportunity for the assessor to learn a bit more about you, about your goals. Use the funneling model. Start off with something broad. For example, I am passionate about working in a challenging environment that will allow me to enhance my technical skills. Sorry. But then narrow down on the actual firm or the actual role that you're applying for, right? So, which is called the funding model. Then moving on is the skills section. So a lot of recruitment firms, they use different word searches. So if you're applying for an accounting role where they specifically say that you need to have MOIB skill set, and if you haven't put in that software, the name of the software, you might just get knocked out on the first round simply because you didn't use the word. So it's ideal that you have those words, right? In technical skills, you can put in different things. You can even have a soft skills and the professional and a technical skills as well. Education, make sure that you put in your achievements. I was a Golden Key International Awards award member, so make sure to put that in, and because these things do attract, do make your resume look really attractive. Moving on, excuse me, is the work experience. Make sure to follow a chronological order. However, if you're applying for a role and if you have a more relevant skill set, then put in a separate section which says relevant experience, and then go into your professional experience. Make sure that you're using action word, for example, starting off with providing wide range of tax compliance, introduced and spearheading. So these sort of action words, you can find a list of them online. Don't use complex words. Trust me, if you have a lot of complex words, it's not literature, right? You want to keep it simple. You want to make it easy for the other person to understand. Yes, you want to use professional language, but no need to use too overly complicated words. Um, Provide substance. If you have done something right, try to analyze or try to give some more substance to it. Don't be Donald Trump. Don't be say, I am a hardworking employer. That doesn't really substantiate that you are a hardworking employer. But if you say that reached KPI of 50 sales per week, something like that, some tangible achievement, then we already assume that yes, you're a hardworking person. Focus on achievements. Give some statistical values. For example, you might have increased the time to market period by 20%. Give some exact stats if you can. Raised $2,000 for this fundraising campaign, something like that. You can keep it simple, black and white. You can have this format. If you need assistance, if you want me to look into your resume, just shoot me your resume on to my email. I'll have a scan through it for you. Moving on is the cover letter. Um, Cover letter, very simple. Okay, I prefer putting in my address and my name in big. Then you briefly introduce yourself and explain what is the exact role. Like, be very specific that okay, I'm applying for this role, and which was advertised in this website. Be very specific, and then say why you are. Briefly state why you're a good fit. Then you say why this firm, why are you applying for this firm. So this is an example of me applying for Stewart Brown, an accounting firm. Tell them and do your research, and you'll see one thing that this is the cheat is that this is the cheat code is over time you'll see almost all the firms have the same values, and you can actually recycle the same content. All you have to see that you have to just change a few of the words. For example, if you're not using Stewart Brown, you're just using XYZ, you'll see the values are still consistent about care, working ethically, yada yada yada, right? So do your research, and this is the only part that will usually change, you'll see. But just the names, if anything. Why you, what can you bring into the business? This is something, invest your time in creating, because this is going to be your asset. Once you've created this cover letter, it's going to be really, really fast, because you need to think about your specific attributes, what makes you who you are. And finally, conclusion, finish off by saying that I'm expecting a call. I will be looking forward to a response from you. Then LinkedIn, very simple. I ideally say have a cover photo, get your professional photo shot as well. If you do not have a professional photographer, look, we all have iPhone these days, and they're a great application to um, edit your photos. Just get your friend or your partner to just take a nice photo of yourself. This photo of mine, it was actually taken by my girlfriend in my office with my iPhone. So yeah, there's no excuses. You can, if you are a doctor or if you're a CA, if you have any special designation, feel free to use it. If you are an engineering undergraduate who's looking for opportunities, in your after your title, in your statement, just write it up that yes, I am looking for jobs, and there's no harm in it. There are also functions where you can open up and you can let recruiters know that you're looking for jobs. And another good thing is LinkedIn is actually a very, very good platform for applying jobs as well. You will see that there are these easy apply options, right? For a lot of jobs, you can literally apply while you're walking to, I don't know, to the bus stop. Moving on is the video interview, which is actually very, 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 very difficult and something that people struggle with. Now, something interesting that I would like to share is that obviously know that I work with artificial intelligence on different tool. And I've been looking at the market, and something that I found out is that a lot of different companies who actually have are taking video interviews, they're also using very, very high-end technologies. Like, for example, they may be using facial recognition, they may be using artificial intelligence to understand how the people, to understand people's reactions, right? And so in this space, it's very, very advanced. Like, there are even when you're taking video interviews, it's important that you practice, because now people are looking more into the details of tap and trying to understand whether you're actually a good fit or not. So it's very important that you practice a lot. I used to practice by recording myself in front of my camera, but but it's still pretty daunting, because for example, right now I'm talking in front of you, I can't see how you're reacting, right? um, and I'm still talking. Somehow I have to keep on with the momentum. I have to still make sure that I can show my personality. It's actually pretty difficult. I don't have a cheat sheet, but the key is that you can actually have a cheat sheet. What is a cheat sheet? It's basically a way you can have one page. You can just put it on in front of you, and they will not know. But if you have to look into something quickly, you can see it quickly. And this actually helps you a lot when we are taking video interviews, just to give you that confidence. This is what a cheat sheet looks like. You just take one page, one rough page, and just divide into two, right? Write out these information. Number one, mission or vision of the company, values, awards, what awards they won, how's the culture like? How do you know about culture? What do you see in the website, or what do you hear from the people? Look at their Instagram. What are they doing? Any big news? Look at the news. Anything that they're doing in the technology space or in the innovation space. Look up the annual report, just the director section. You might read up a bit. That will help you a lot. And try to see which industry it is. This helps you to answer why do you want to join the firm XYZ, right? Um, then goes into why this role. So if you're applying for a graduate role, try to relate back to your inspiration from university. You can even say, you can even start off by saying, oh, I went to this seminar of Golden Key, and I heard about all these different technology that was being used. As a result, I was very inspired to explore the opportunity in this space, and I have the right skill set, I've built myself. You can talk about all those things as well, but you need to have some sort of inspiration. If you're a professional, existing professional, you can talk about how you're looking for this job because it will help you to take your skill set to the next level. It will help you to it will help you to exhaust your potential and expand your skill set. So talk about those things, but have that inspirational piece. Then comes the why should we choose you. In select 4 to 5 of your experiences that you have in your resume, and try to think about all the attributes you have. This is where they will ask you behavioral questions, like, tell me about a situation where you have demonstrated a team leadership. Obviously use the STAR model and think about one experience. So this is where most of the practice goes in. You need to be able to, you should be practicing a lot. You can find a list of these behavioral questions, practice a lot in front of mirror, and then start recording yourself. And you will see that over time, as you learn learn more about yourself, you get to understand that it gets easier to answer these questions. There are some behavioral questions that they always ask, like, tell us about a time where you've dealt with a difficult team member. I think I have said that answer so many times. I have it at the tip of my tongue. Like, I know the story, right? So that's the point where you want to reach to. Finally, everyone wants to hire someone who has a proper plan with life. Winnie, just letting you know, I might take another 5 minutes, additional 5 minutes. So everyone has 5 or 10 year plan. Everyone likes someone who has a plan. It's important, it's imperative that you come up with, you know, where you're going to stand in 3 to 4 or 5 years time. If you are an accountant, in 5 years time you want to see yourself as a manager, or you would have seen yourself giving back to your firm and giving back to the community. If you are into data science, you in 5 years time you want to see yourself working on a complex government project as well that is creating value for people. So yeah, and then think about these 4, 5 to 10 year plan. This helps a lot when you are talking to professionals, when you're going into an interview. So yeah, preparing cheat sheet, prepare for questions. The most important question that people struggle with is actually tell me about yourself. I swear to God, my training sessions, when I train people, the first starting point is tell us about yourself. And people get stuck. And so remember, everyone is a story. You're a story. Someone got impacted by something, they're a story. Try to understand your story and say it in a nice way. Brand yourself. For myself, my story is I was an international student. I was ambitious. I wanted to work hard. I took all the opportunity. And then I go from university to my workforce, how I jumped from different work. And that's my story. So in the same way, you all have some sort of story. Know your story. If needed, write it down first and then tell yourself. Talk about what intrigues you about the firm. Talk about your inspiration as well. I was taking an interview yesterday, and one thing that I was really struggling is the person was telling everything that was very soothing to my ears. Like they were telling me how professional they were. They are into corporate and everything. They're reading newspaper and everything. One thing that I felt was missing, not that I marked him down for that, but I did feel like I wish I could hear that. One thing that was missing is about what makes him who he is, what's interesting about him. Whenever you're telling about yourself, try to finish off with something interesting. So you'll probably see Winnie, she said at the end that I play drums, and that is something personal, but I want people to know, because not because I want people to take me lightly, but because I want people to know that I have a lot of color in my life as well. I'm not just a boring corporate wearing a suit and talking about working on Excel. You want to be able to brand something that's unique to yourself, something that makes you who you are. Finally, as I said, for interview, so a lot of video interviews are being taken on Zoom, on Skype, different mediums. When you're taking interview, make sure you have a glass of water, and don't freak out. Trust me, they are probably freaking out as much as you're freaking out, because they need to hire the right people and they want to give a good experience for you as well. So don't freak out. Have a glass of water. If someone's asking a question you do not know the answer, look, just say, I'm sorry, I actually do not have an answer to that question. However, do you mind if I talk about this other experience? And that's completely fine. It's all about how you how you tackle a difficult situation, right? Practice these questions before you go in. Still make sure that you look professional, have a white background. If you want to practice questioning or video interviews, practice with a friend, ask them to come online and just practice with them. I think so. This was basically all I wanted to talk about. And I guess going back, as I said, my starting conversation today was asking the better question that we ask in my firm at Ernst & Young, EY. We ask the better question. And the better question I asked today to you is that when the ground beneath you, your feet is shifting, will you stand still or leap forward? In my opinion, standing still will not help us. What we need to do right now is be optimistic, is to hone onto this opportunity, this time where we are in isolation, to enhance our skill set, is to revamp our resume, is be optimistic that there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is the life is going to turn around and we are going to bounce back stronger than ever. So it's all about taking the strong leap forward, the big leap forward, and be optimistic about life. Thank you so much. My name is Rakin Hasan. You can contact me on LinkedIn or through email. And now I will take some questions.
Thank you so much, Rakin. That was awesome. I especially like the video interview part, the cheat sheet part. I found it very practical and helpful. Now it's the Q&A section. And for those of you who are still with us, if you want to ask a question, there is a chat feature and the QA feature there. I will make sure I check both. Any questions?
Well, sorry. Well, if people don't have questions, there is a chat section.
Yes, we don't have any questions just yet. Usually it just takes the first one to ask a question and then,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just open up and we'll see if anyone has any question. Well, if not, I can share some question as well that I have received prior to attending this, because there are some
That'll
people
be great.
who say that they're a bit sometimes uncomfortable sharing question.
Yeah.
Oh, we actually have a question. Can the record be shared with us, please? Yes, I think
Yes.
the recording will be uploaded on YouTube.
Yeah, the
Um,
Golden Key YouTube channel.
yeah,
But it
yeah,
will take 1 week or 2 weeks.
yeah,
But I'll let
yeah.
you know.
That's fine. Some of the questions that people asked me is, one of them was, why do you need to?
Oh,
Um,
1 second. We just had there's a really good one here. From
okay,
Belinda. Hi, I am a older graduate. Do you have any advice for older graduates when applying for positions?
right. So I'm assuming that maybe is it Belinda? You said.
Yes, Belinda.
Yes, Belinda, if you're based in Australia, one thing that's really, really good about this country and the place where we are is the fact that it's very diverse. And when employers, when people are hiring, one thing that I've noted is that they put aside all these biases. At least they try to put away all these biases. Now, um, to be honest, it doesn't matter if you're an older graduate or a newer graduate. The point is that whether you can showcase what skill set that you bring. You need to remember, by being an older graduate, what you bring to the floor is experience, which a lot of young graduates don't believe cannot bring. What you bring is the maturity to handle different situations that a lot of other people can't. What you can do is engage in conversation, difficult conversation, in a very mature way, in a way that a lot of other people cannot. So hone on to these things. Try to brand those things when you're going into the interview. There are a lot of roles personally I've seen in banking or insurance, which are popping up. Maybe worthwhile looking into this. Assuming that you might be in the commerce field or in the financial services sector. Um, but obviously I do not know which field you're in. But all I'm going to say is that it does not matter. As long as you can create value, as long as you can bring in, you're bringing in the energy and the thought and being receptive about the workforce. That's all that matters. I hope that answers the question.
Great, great. We've just got another great question from Jing. Hi, Rakin, how do I maximize my LinkedIn profile to help me land in the next job under uncertain times?
Okay, so interesting fact is, my first job that I got was actually through LinkedIn and through a Golden Key conference. Okay, and I actually, the fact that I moved to EY and I'm working in a space that I really, really enjoy, I actually got it through LinkedIn. A lot of people actually get their job through LinkedIn. It's because this is one way you can actually personalize your communication, right? So, going back to the question, how can you do it? First of all, make it look pretty. The amount of time you invest on Instagram or Facebook, not generalizing, but this is what I used to do. If you're spending a lot of time in other social media, try to invest at least, if not more, equal amount of time on this social media. Connect with people. If you go into my connection, you'll probably find a lot of recruiters, a lot of people in different industry as well. Look through it, scan through it, and nobody's gonna say that you're a creep. Okay, trust me, because we're all here to connect with the right people. That's fine. So make your profile look really, really powerful. If you are someone, if you're reading something, share your thoughts, share articles. Do that. Share one article every day. If you're someone who wants to practice your public speaking as well, make interesting videos, right? And talk about a different topic. And I think by doing all of this, you're showcasing people as well that you are active and you have a certain interest, and then you're drawing attention. And then also keep a tab of what other people are doing. For example, if I am working on, let's say, AI and I'm posting things, um, follow me, and then suddenly after a few days later you can basically message me and say, hey Rakin, I saw your post about this artificial intelligence. It sounded very, very interesting. What are your thoughts on how it's going to change the world of the medical industry, right? So and then you start engaging in conversation, and that's how you connect, you build relationship. And remember something, not every relationship will lead to an outcome. But those relationships are there just to sustain and just to create as your powerhouse. Not every connection, every conversation will lead to a job, but they might be able to introduce you to other people who might have something for you. So that's how I would say you can maximize your LinkedIn opportunity.
Great, great. Thank you for the advice. We just received a few more questions. So this one is from Brina. Hello, I was wondering what the best way to improve our skills are and which ones you would recommend we focus on.
Okay, so I actually do not know what you have studied. So obviously I'm in a bit of a difficult position to answer this question. But assuming you might be in business as a business student, or you might be an engineering student, one sort of skill set that's really, really important these days is data analysis, or any form of analysis, or any form of technical skills, or using data or visualization, uh, be it marketing, be it sales, be it in corporate auditing, anything. One thing that you can do is there are some courses online, like Udemy or Coursera. You might be able to explore those courses, which is like, it takes about, I don't know, like a few weeks or few days to actually complete. You can do those courses and you can actually get certificates as well. So you are being able to actually enhance your skill set and getting a recognition. But obviously you're not having to go through that whole university process. You can do that, or but one thing that I would do is, I am not an avid believer of investing a lot of money. Okay, I try to first see what is there for free. So try to see if there are any free courses available, right, or free online YouTube videos that you can watch and you can learn some skill set. So you can do those things, but my first point is, first understand what skill set, why do you need that skill set, right? If you do envision to become someone who has some skill set to create a lot of good marketing content, then you want to learn about creating marketing tools, or using different tools, different softwares. Then you can take a course and then brand yourself towards that direction. But it all comes down to what's your vision. But there are a lot of free opportunities that you can hone on to. I hope that
Oh,
answered the question.
yeah, I just see Beanie raised her hand.
Oh,
I just allow.
yeah.
Do you have anything you want to talk
I think,
about? Yeah, I just unmuted
yeah.
Beanie. Do you want to say something?
I think she's on mute.
I unmuted her. Oh. Okay, let's go to the next question from
Okay.
Molly.
Okay.
Hi, Rakin, could you give some examples of ways to talk about your weakness or areas for improvement in an
Right.
interview in a constructive way?
That's a very, very good question. Now, this is the trick question, right? I don't believe if someone asks you to tell you about your weakness, be like, oh yeah, I cannot wake up on time. I'm not punctual. Don't say that. That's actually pretty bad. Um, I mean, that makes you look really bad, right? You have to take a very strategic way. You have to answer it in a very strategic way. That it will not be. You can still be genuine, but you're gonna say in a way that you're saying that you can show that you're improving yourself. So what I do is, I usually say something like, um, oh, I am very, very scared. I think uh, my weakness is I'm very overambitious. Sometimes I really want to do a lot. I want to really go get out there, do different extracurricular activities, but also make sure that I'm doing really well at my work. I think this overambitious nature is sometimes makes me stretch myself to it ends up me stretching myself too thin, which makes me very, very stressed out. But then you start, so you have said something which is still positive, because if you're ambitious, that's actually a good thing, right? But you're saying it in a sort of a negative way. And then you go on saying that, however, I've been working towards improving it. For example, for the past few months, i have been always at the beginning of every week, I reassess my workload and I make sure that I do not take on too much for moving forward. So you always have to make sure that if they're asking about a question on weakness, don't talk about something which might cause you trouble, cause you to get into trouble, or cause you to someone perceive you in a negative way. Say something which is still positive, something like, oh, you're scared of public speaking, or you're scared of your weakness is that you are over ambitious in terms when you're working in a team, or you're very um, you're someone who's very optimistic about everything, right? Or your maybe your sales technique is way too aggressive, right? Something which is still positive, and but then you have to make sure that you say how you're working on improving that, right? Because that goes to show that you're someone who believes in improvement. I hope that answers the question.
That's great. That's great. We have 5 more questions. Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's
as
fine.
an international student, what advantages can you mention to interviewers regarding how you stand out from domestic students?
Right. So I was an international student, as you know. I personally feel that the fact that you're part of Golden Key, that makes you stand out, because that means that you are top 15% of your university cohort, right? Um, you should definitely talk about Golden Key if you're not on interviews. There's a lot of partners that I've met with, they know Golden Key, right? They are part of Golden Key as well. Now, how do you stand out? Look, the first thing is to get it out of your head that you're any less than any other domestic student, right? The moment you start thinking you're any less, that's when you are basically taking a step backward, right? You have to see that we are all the same, okay? And we are all in the same race. I have seen a lot of local students who could not tap into the market as well, right? Um, I do acknowledge there are difficulties. For example, as an international student, you need to get your PT, NATI, all these sorted out. Right now, the job markets, my girlfriend is actually an international student as well. And but she has been able to tap into the market as well. And it's all because we always had, well, myself as well, we had the focus of building a strong career, and not just focused on things like, oh, I have to get PR, I have to then get my get a job. No. So first thing is, make sure that you have focused on building a good career. Make sure you have the right skill set, and then yes, one thing that's true is that probably the number of applications that you push through might be higher. Let's say. Let's say if you're applying for 10 jobs, you might get a higher number of rejections only due to the fact that you might be due to your visa conditions. Yes, I agree. Right now in Australia or globally for international students, it's a bit difficult because simply because of the visa condition. But it doesn't mean that you cannot get a job. There's a lot of contractual roles where international students can actually get into. I'm pretty sure if you apply, you still after you graduate, you still have the 2 years work visa, right? And you should be able to work full time at that time. So it's all about articulating that to the recruiters that look, I can still work full time, and you can get into those contractual roles. And use those time to also collect the points, right? Do your bare minimum. Yes, it's difficult, but the point is, if you have the right skill set, if you have worked hard in your life, the world will make a place for you. I personally believe that because I've done that. um, so 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 very important, get your bare minimum done, PT, NATI, for your professional year, anything that needs you to get your points up, then keep on applying day and night. Like, make it a routine that I'll wake up 8:30, I'll sit down on a table, I'll apply from 9 to 5, just like I'm doing a full-time job. Apply Monday, then Tuesday, call up these recruiters, call up and follow up. Hey, I just want to follow up on my application, blah, blah, blah. Can you please give me an update? There are a lot of times they will not give you an update. That's fine. Take it to the chin, move on, make another call. Make your heart strong and don't get emotional. When you get rejection, it's not your girlfriend or boyfriend who's rejecting you. It's a company. They have their policy, they have their own quota, which is why probably they're doing this, right? So don't get emotional that, oh my god, I'm getting so many rejections. Rejections should be normal, okay? And that's fine. That will make you strong, but build relationships while you're getting the rejection. So keep on applying, and I can ensure you, if you have applied, I've applied to hundreds and hundreds of jobs and so many rejections, I can't even tell you enough. But this is the thing, right? It's all a game of probabilities and statistics. The more you apply, your numerator goes up, and your chances of getting a job becomes higher. I hope that answers the question.
That's great. I couldn't agree more. So another question from Sarah Field. Can you still apply for positions if you're missing one of the elements asked for in a job advertisement?
Um, well, if you are I'm pretty sure if you're fulfilling, well, it depends on what you're missing out on. If it's one of the key skills, for example, let's say you're applying for an engineering role, right? And they expect you to know some sort of software, or they expect you to do some sort of coding, and it's in a specific software. If that is a key requirement, then probably you will have to justify that. You probably have to justify that how there are other skills that you hold that 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 can compensate for the missing skill set. For example, when you're writing your cover letter, mention it that I acknowledge that I have limited exposure in this software. However, I do have experience using this sort of softwares, and I am being an adaptable person. I think I understand the basics, so I can adapt and start using this software, right? So it's all about conveying that, look, maybe I don't have a skill set, yes, but I have similar skill set and I can catch up to it, right? And assuming that it's like a software skill set or technical skills. But if it's a soft skill, I'm pretty sure like you should never stop yourself from applying just because you think that you don't have one specific skill set or like soft skill, because you must have other 5 to 6 or 7 skill set which you can brand and tell them that, look, yes, I don't have this, take these 6, right? I am good. So yeah, it's all about branding yourself, talking
Right.
yourself up.
Right. Then we have this question from Karen, an IT graduate. With your
Right.
interview training, do you work with specific industry or any?
Well, to be honest, the industry that I've worked with is I have worked with IT people as well, because right now in my role I work with a lot of IT people. Like work with people who does robotics. I myself am trying to teach myself some sort of level of coding. Um, I work with engineers, and for the career coaching, I've worked with engineers, IT people, lawyers. Some areas that I have not explored a lot is the medical industry. That's purely because it's a bit different. The whole recruitment space is a bit different, but I know recruiters who hire like nurses and doctors. um, so that's a different conversation, but yes, IT I've worked with. So if you need me to sort of quickly look at your resume and sort of give you some inspiration on what are some of the companies that you should be looking into, I can definitely help you out.
That's good. That's good. I think we have time for 2 more questions.
Yes.
Next one, would a recruitment team react well to seeing your cheat sheet due to like a video clip?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, make sure that it's not out there. Like, look, there is a reason it's called a cheat sheet, because you put it in such a way and you use it only when you're absolutely stuck, right? The expectation is not for you to have it in front and read it off from it. No, the the idea is to simply, if you there's a lot of time, like there's a lot of time when you're taking video interview, you'll literally freeze. You'll have a brain freeze. You'll be like, oh my god, I forgot what I was talking about, right? The whole purpose of having the cheat sheet, the way you put it is you make sure that, so when you're taking a video interview, you're obviously sitting on a desk, right? You have your laptop in front of you and you have a white background. You can only see up to how much you're seeing me right now. Now, I actually had a diary in front of me. You probably guys didn't notice it, right? So that's what I was telling you. That just keep a piece of paper like this, make sure that they don't see it. The whole purpose is to seek assistance. It's almost like palm cards when you're going for public speaking, right? You're not reading it out from the palm cards, but it's simply so that if you forget some key hints that you can remember. And the other reason I actually encourage people to write these cheat sheet is because, one, even when you write, you start memorizing it, you start remembering it. When you write something, you remember it. That's one. Secondly is, this helps you throughout your recruitment. I'll give you an example. I used to make these cheat sheets for 10, 20, every company that I was applying for, right? Big ones when I know that I'm actually going to go for a video interview. I used to scan them up and I used to put them in a Google Doc. Then what happens is, let's say I'm on the bus, right? And then a recruiter calls me. Hi, Rakin, I'm calling from blah, blah, blah. Is this a good time to talk? I swear to God, I applied for so many jobs. I probably forgot which company this is from. I probably didn't even hear who she is, right? And I'm obviously not ready because I forgot about the company. So what I would do is I'd basically say, hey, I'm sorry. I'm actually in the bus right now and I'm actually not in the right position to talk. Is it all right if you can kindly call me back in 15 minutes, right? And they'll be like, yeah, that's fine. I was like, and then I'll ask them, sorry, can I please know which company you're from? They'll tell you. Then I'll use that 15 minutes to go back, look into my Google Doc and find out that company. I open up the cheat sheet. In literally 2 minutes, I know what I'm going to talk about. I know the values. I know the words. I know why I applied for this role. So you're ready. And before she calls, she already know her name as well. Look up her on LinkedIn as well. So find out what are some things that are relevant in between you guys. Maybe you can throw in that, oh, I went to this uni as well where you went. That's interesting, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't make you a creep, but that just goes to show that you're ready. But one thing you definitely need to make sure that you're not picking up a call when you're not ready. So the cheat sheet will actually come in advantage for you throughout your recruitment process, in my opinion.
Great, great. So one last question. In an interview, is it better to be really polite and structured or a bit relaxed and friendly, or do we just assess the situation and mirror the interviewer's body language?
Okay, I personally believe that interviews which tends to be a conversation to be the best interviews for both the interviewer as well as for the person who's taking the interview, right? You made a very good point. Whether you should behave based on what the interviewer's body language is. I personally feel that yes, you should do that. Um, if you think that someone is very, very uptight and they're just going through question by question, just focus on that. But still, like, be friendly, be polite, be kind, be gentle. Obviously, remain professional, but make sure that you're obviously not like I am someone who's very expressive, right? I like to have fun. I like it. On my interview, or most of my interviews ended up being a conversation laughing about, I don't know, about parties or about my music life or something interesting, right? Because I like my interviews like that. But I have been to interviews where the person was very uptight. They're like, look, I don't have time. We will only go through these 10 questions, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, fine, that's fine. So I was just being nice. I was still smiling. I was still showing my personality, but making sure that I toned down myself a bit. So yes, you should assess the room. Um, when you go into an interview, obviously wear professional attire. It's very important. Personal grooming is very, very important. A lot of the time we undermine that because you are presenting yourself, right? So make sure you are doing that. Have a very firm handshake. My hand sweats a lot, right? That's a struggle for me throughout all my interviews. I obviously like carry a tissue paper and all of that. When you're sitting down for the interview, ask for a glass of water. The reason being is, one, when you're entering into the reception, and probably a receptionist would say, can you give me if they ask you that, do you need something? And if you tell her, and if you ask for her name, that person will actually remember your interaction. And then after the interview, they might ask the receptionist that, oh, how did you feel about them, right? And they might actually give you a good review. That's one. Secondly, when you have a glass of water, let's say they ask you a question and you are completely lost. You take the glass and you say, sorry, can I just drink some water? You drink the water, and while they're waiting for your answer, you're still thinking. And while you're drinking, you're thinking about the question that they've asked. It gives you a lot of time. You might think it's not a lot of time, but it's a lot of time when you're thinking about the question, right? So these are some tricks and tips. I can give you a lot more if I had more time, but I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. That's really fantastic advice. I think we've certainly been able to cover most of the questions today. For
Yeah,
Gilbert, thank you for sending through such a sweet message. And for Brina, sorry we didn't get to your questions during today's webinar, but we will be sure to follow up afterwards.
yeah, yeah,
Now, thank you everyone for asking such fantastic questions, for engaging in this topic. I would encourage you to connect with Rakin on LinkedIn. And Rakin, is there anything else you would like, to mention?
yeah. Well, firstly is I will apologize in advance if I'm not responding to your messages or your requests on time. I've been bombarded over the past week with some work, but I ensure you that I appreciate each and every one of your responses. So I will get back to you. You just need to be a little bit patient with me, and I'm really, really sorry for that. Secondly is stay connected with Golden Key, and I cannot tell you enough that the best thing about Golden Key is that you don't just connect with professionals, you make lifelong friends. I made an amazing friend last year. She lives in the US. She came for the regional summit in Adelaide. I had such a good time, and we are still good friends, right? We call ourselves the besties, right? So stay connected with Golden Key. It's a great place. It's a great community of people. And as for right now, I've heard this reporter saying is that the one way that the people in China, they fought back the whole on Wuhan, they fought back the whole coronavirus was by staying mentally strong, by being strong in the inside. You cannot let this adversity or this situation get into your head and bring you down. So stay strong, stay healthy, stay home as long as it's needed. And if you need help, reach out. There's always someone around the corner trying to help you out. Thank you.
That's a really sweet sentiment. Thank you again, Rakin. This was just like amazing. We can't thank you enough for taking time today to share your experience and expertise with us. And thank you all for taking your time this afternoon to join the webinar. We're thrilled to bring amazing speakers every couple of weeks to you to help continue your life learning. Thank you for participating. We hope to see you again next time. Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye.